I have achieved, but this is simply because of my children. because of
children.
because of my children.
That's your biggest achievement.
No, but this is about men. If it was people, maybe somebody else would have had this. Yeah. So my name's Walter Matugwa. I'm an industrial designer, like I say. And yeah, let's get started. There was 2 questions raised in this PLD. The first question is, what is maternal health? Yeah. There's no parent here, so I can't even ask you. So I'd say maternal health is the well-being, or the state, actually, not the state of a mother, state ambayo physical, social, and emotional state of a mother during the process of pregnancy. So that was the first question. I think about that. And the second question is, how can men partake in this? How can men partake in this, in ensuring a good mental health, a good maternal health to women? You might be a father, you might be a brother, you might be a grandfather. You don't have to be married, I believe, to be part of this, to actually assist a mother, to assist a mother. Yeah, uncle. So for me, I try to see if I can categorize this in. I did a little research also. See if I can categorize it in steps. And then there's 3 steps. There's during the pregnancy, there's the day of birth, and then there's postpartum care. But then I wanted to go a little bit further and say there's 4 stages, because one is not just pregnant. Something must have happened. And I want to believe for the first stage, the inception, let's say. How do you, as a man, how are you present as a man during the very first step? How do you show concern and care at the very first step? And most of us overlook that. Obviously, there's accidental pregnancies, but I feel like the first step is the decision itself. Your wife, your sister, your mother, anyone wants to get a child. How are you involved in this decision? Because, when you get married, sometimes you might want a child and then the wife doesn't want a child. So, or does not want a child yet. Obviously, everybody wants a child. So I would want to assume that for you to start being there for your wife is being there to decide when do we want a child, not just you making the decision. Because at the end of the day, it's the hardest part on this maternal health care. The biggest burden is on the lady, on the wife, on the woman, on the mother. So the first stage, I would say, would be the process of wanting to get a child. Yeah, so there's making the decision, and then making sure that your wife is ready, or the mother-to-be is ready. Respecting her decisions. Sometimes it's about respecting her decision. Okay, now you realize that she doesn't want to be pregnant. How do you respect her decision, or how do you convince her in a way that is a mutual understanding? So I think that's the first step of being there when it comes to maternal health. And then the second step would be supporting her choice. That's how you become present. Supporting her choice on wanting to get a baby. In some countries, wanting to keep the baby. That is part of being there. Okay. And then encouraging her that it's going to be okay, because I'm assuming that we're talking about first-time moms. Yeah. When you're a second-time mom, it's not as easy, yes, but there's things that you actually know about. So that's the first stage, the stage of making the decision of being a parent. You have to listen to your partner as a man on the decision that she wants, because at the end of the day, she's the one who. It's not even. You might say 9 months, but it's probably longer than that. Because the child is 5 years at least. That's changing her course for the next 5 years. So the first stage of being involved is the process of conception. The second stage would be the the pregnancy. And that's where most of us, I think even Mr. Christian over here, I think that's what you would assume it's the main thing by going to the clinic. I think going to the clinic is the smallest thing. Going to the clinic is just being there, you just go there, and then you just listen. Of course, you might be interested or not, but going to the clinic is probably the smallest input you can put. It's good when you go to the clinic, because when you get there, trust me, when you go to the clinic with your wife or with your partner, you would notice that there's so many other people that are there without their partner. And then you would see the glow in your partner that at least I'm with someone. I'm with somebody. We are a team. The whole team is here. Because you don't just go there for no reason. You go there because you're pregnant, yeah? But when you go with her, there's something you see from her reaction. From her. I feel like, and she feels like she made the right choice, first of all. She feels like you made time for this. And then, yeah. And you look around and see the other women. Sometimes it happens. Even me, I didn't attend all the clinics. But when you can, I would advise that you make attendance. And it's just a few hours. You come up on a foleni 1 or 2 hours, and then you're good. So that would be the first way of supporting the partner when it comes to maternal health. The second thing would be noticing her hormonal changes, I think. Because when no one is pregnant, there's cravings, there's mood swings. And then first time, I don't know, now most of us are tunajua kidogo, we're more modern. But then there was times where there was no internet, there's no anything. And then a pregnant woman or mother would be angry, but they don't know why they're angry. In fact, we even use that as excuses kwenye offices za serikali. When you see a pregnant woman and then she gives you a bad service, you just assume it's because she's pregnant. But then I would want the partner of this person to make sure that she is constantly aware that now I am angry, because sometimes even a normal person, you don't have to be pregnant. You can be angry and you don't know, depressed and you don't know. So you might have to, keep updating her on her process, but find the right words, because everyone has the right approach to being corrected or being updated. That now you're angry, now you're at this tone, at this. So yeah, managing her hormonal changes. It's more of playing to her game, because sometimes she'd have cravings and then you don't want to do it. But then, I don't know, for me and my wife, we came with that small theory that kwamba, for you to crave something, there's a chance that there's a deficiency. Of course, I don't know if it's true, but I feel like that. There's a chance that there's a deficiency within her that is needed. If you want Coca-Cola baridi, maybe that capazo, calcium, I don't know, fish, pilau, there's something you need that is nutritious in that food. That's why you're craving it. So it's not just about going to get these things for her. It's also, I think it's also building the child in the way of feeling those deficiencies in her, which is resulting to a better birth, obviously. Yeah, and then the next thing in this stage of pregnancy would be attending the clinics, choosing a name. There's no hard thing as choosing a name. I'd say for us guys, our first child, we had to talk with you at the sex. We just wanted to be surprised. So we had a list of boy names, a list of girl names. And then as time goes, I came to realize that the name was the least of her concern. She was just worried, preparing, just wanting the whole process to issue. So eventually I had to get the name. But then there would be partners who would have a name if you want to dismiss this name, or you would have a name you want your child to call a certain name. This is writing you two's history. You imagine. The child is the continuation of you two. So you really have to be in unison in choosing a name. It's a small thing as a name. You really have to be in unison. Don't just go choosing a name because you like it, but maybe she has trauma using that name. Maybe she has an uncle who's a drunkard who was called a certain name. That's why it's really usually hard to choose a name, actually. So yeah, there's that. Listening to our opinions when it comes to choosing names. I think that's part of being there. Like you notice kwamba you do research, you understand that name is not good, I think she would be inclined to feel like you care. And then the next thing would be, because I don't know, for me at least, we were doing research on where to deliver. And then that I want to attach with insurance. As a man, I think you're supposed to be concerned about the date of delivery. Yeah. Because most of us, I don't know, I have friends ambao wamepata watoto, but you'd ask them mtajifungulia wapi, and they probably don't have a clue. The mother knows. Do you have insurance? They don't know. The mother knows. There's insurances ambazo you can't, hawezi kata leo and then next week unajifungua. Takes time. So part of being there for her is getting her to know this, choosing the right insurance, preparing financially for this, because babies come with finances. That is part. Once you have that covered, once she knows that my bill is going to be covered, there's some sense of peace that she gets. If you the stress, it's good for the child as well. So that's part of being there for. It's part of being there for your partner. So now we go to the third stage, about the day of the birth. You have to prepare psychology. Of course, it cannot be tarehe exact unless you're planning for an operation. But when that time comes, most times you would notice that when are restless, they want to get over with it. You notice worry, and sometimes they don't show you this worry. You have to constantly be there to make sure that she knows that it's going to be okay. Because most of the times wazazi wetu wana assume kwamba since they went through it, and for them it was even harder, sisi ni mama yai. But we live in a different world. Maybe there was nobody to consult them or make them feel comfortable, and then they assume that's the norm. But I feel like it's important to make sure that your partner is as comfortable as possible mentally. Kwamba you're going to be there. That's one. That's very important. People actually take leaves to go witness their wives giving birth. I would say there's almost no excuse to avoid that. There are excuses, but I'd say there's almost no excuse to avoid that. And then I feel like in the world that we're getting to, you saying that you need to be there for the birth of your child as a man, to a boss that understands, to a boss that knows what's up. They should feel like you are a family guy. They should feel like you're a person who cares. They should feel like you're a person who they can rely on. But if you don't ask for a leave and your wife is expecting, and then tulipata mtoto wa kiume and then you didn't go for a leave, ama you're living outside of town and then you didn't attend, it would make your boss feel like huyu mke wake anajifungua alafu hata kuomba leave. Yani, I don't know. For me, I think I'd feel like that. So you have to be there for your delivery. Like in your preparation, psychologically, making sure that she is stable, she's okay, it's going to be okay. Yeah, just I'm sure by the time you guys are deciding to have a child, you already know that, and you already know the type of person you're dealing with. You already know your wife, unless it's an accident, which accidents happen as well. But then by the time you're getting to that stage, I believe you should have known your partner in such a way that you can calm her down, Yeah, so there's other things kama you're preparing her bags, because kuna vitu ambavyo vinahitajika hospitali, making sure that everything is ready. You don't have to be doing it physically, but just asking, wanting to know, because you'd be surprised that some people go to the hospital without public hospitals, especially private hospitals, another cars never bit, but public hospitals, you would need to have your own kabag, tanga ya zamani, pamba, gloves, and stuff like that. You'd be surprised most people don't know, And if you actually don't know, there's a chance that you didn't attend clinic. So the problem imeanzia from stage 2, right? But yeah, just making sure that everything is set, the bag is always ready at all times, because that's getting towards the end of the third stage. And kama nilivyosema, being there for your partner on the day of delivery. So to talk about that stage 3, stage 4 is postpartum. Postpartum postpartum and postpartum. One of them is postnatal. Yeah. One of them one involves just the mother, and then the other one involves the mother and child. One of those. Postnatal. Okay, so yeah. I had to do research on this. Yeah. Kwa hiyo postnatal. postnatal sasa, that's where the song is. Mziki ulipo. You really have to be there, because research has been done, and most mothers wanakuwa depressed without even knowing. You hear cases wamama wanapiga watoto wao, au wamama wanataka wajiue, au wamama yani just wanaenda wanalia wamejificha huko, and they don't know that it's almost a normal stage here. It's not for everyone, but it happens to many people, and you have to know that it might happen to your partner. She might get depressed. Possible there's sleepless nights. Sometimes there's everybody coming to ask about the child. Nobody asks about how you feel. All the attention ambayo ilikuwa on the baby that is in the belly. How are you feeling? And I'm here. How is the baby? Nobody cares about you. You've already done it, but lakini you're the one who stays the baby up all night. Yonyesha and all. Pia kuna physical changes ambazo you might start to feel, I'm very fat. How will I get my body back? You as a partner have to make sure that you support her through that process, that it's okay, it's stage. If you have a plan, you introduce this plan on how to, have her come back to her old self, because it won't be like that. But you really have to be there for her during that stage, to make it easy on her kwenye hiyo stage. There would be other things I'd say ni kwamba sometimes your partner would want to have family close, because I don't know, I feel like family is safe. You feel like safe, like if my mother tells me this or my mother is around, so you'd have to also accommodate. There are some men ambao when you marry someone you don't want that to deal with the family, you feel offended when she passed the family. But from my experience, at least I can say that involving her family and mine, of course, but involving her family has even built a better child, because the child has not just one mother, but so many mothers, not just one uncle, but so many fathers, not just one father, So I think that would be important. And when the child is healthy, play with other people and mother can rest. Child has time to grow from different angles, to learn how to talk, walk, and all that from different angles, not just the mother feeding the child. And I feel like that is a plus. Are we on time? Yeah, we're good on time. Okay. Yes. So I think I'll say allow for as much possible interaction with both sides. Of course, there's some of us ambao our families are twisted, and you don't want your children to be involved with them. But I believe that's very few. If your family is good, it's loving, it's caring, and then your wife feels like I probably need somebody close from home to come and help me with the first few months, that is a plus. It will help the both of you, because there's some kids that give you sleepless nights, Yeah. So another thing is you also have friends who would come and visit you as a father. They say, don't just say, hey, Joe, too fresh, tupo. You have to ask your partner, because you have to ask your partner, yes. Because unakuta yeye, when you go to work, she's at home. Usiku, she's the one who has to wake up and feed. So the little seconds or minutes the child sleeps, that's her time to rest. So when you think it's just okay for anyone to just come, and then she wanted to rest, she'll be grumpy. Also, the child cannot be woken up. And when you go visit someone who is, let's say you go visit your sister who is pregnant, always ask. Don't just show up. Ask. But sometimes she really doesn't want to see anyone. She just wants to rest. And then obviously when you go, you should take the least time. Take the least time there, because unless you're there to help carry the baby or hold the baby, but you're just going to see the baby, take the least time. Another thing I'd say is, karibu. Yes, and then the next thing you'd probably want to consider ni hiyo kwamba don't how do I say this? Yeah, don't give advice unless you ask. Yeah, that's the worst thing. That's the worst thing you can do to a mother, actually a first-time mother, because she gets advice from everyone, her aunties, her mothers, everyone. So it's so much information coming. she's getting pissed off, and then she's starting to feel like she's not sufficient for the child. And I'm going, unamnyonyesha mara ngapi, unafaa uongeze ama unafaa ujitoe. Actually, wewe kama ndo the parent, just find ways to just encourage her. There's people who are going to advise her. Our mothers will always do that. Our mothers are actually asking us, I'm sure right now, mbona uniletee watoto? Umemletea mtoto, there's more coming. So there's people on board, they can get away with it. Yeah, but so when you ask that question, don't give advice unless you ask. Basically, this is for now visiting a mother. As a father, you understand. If she hears that advice, of course, she'll tell you, and then she'll be very pissed off. Now you have to make sure you calm her down. It's all right. So that's basically the process of being there, the stages of being there. The rest is just it's common sense. Yeah. So I'm good for questions. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Mike.
My question would be, so across all the 4 stages, right? What are the common mistakes or the common pitfalls that men usually do while trying to support maternal health? Yeah, all the things that men usually ignore. I know there could be many, especially with the social norms and the things that we're used to while growing up. Taking care of a child and the mother is usually, mostly performed by women and baby zao and all that type. So what are some of the things that you think we usually ignore, and how can we do better in that space? And maybe your example of how you've done it better.
Wasn't better about that. Yeah, but for me, I like kids, I like babies. So I would, when the baby's crying and the mother's trying to calm her down, I would want to take the baby. I feel like I can do a better job. But to be honest with you, the person who loves this little thing more than anyone else in the world is the person holding this thing, this baby. So for me, when that is happening, unless she says this idea, or you could request something, but you wouldn't let her. That's a mistake, because she would feel like she's not a good mother. So I think that's one of the mistakes that I can say I did, and then I came to realize it's not good. That's the biggest mistake. The other small mistakes is you would say, when a clinic you remember your dada. But yeah, at first, I didn't find it as a problem. It wasn't in my mind. When I can, I would go, and I wouldn't find an excuse not to go. But then when I realized it's important, I would find an excuse to make sure that I go. Yeah, so that's about it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing what you've shared. My question was on the after the woman has given birth. What do you think? I would like to get your view on the notion of the woman saying, "I want to go back to, I don't know, my parents' place or something, to go and stay there for the first, 3 months or so." What's your view? Because in my view, I feel like it's depriving the father of a very critical stage. That's when the baby is crying. That's when there's a lot happening there. So what do you think of that stage? You have proposed that someone should let the woman's side of the family to come and support in the house. But what's your view, and what would you advise a person who meets a circumstance where the woman or the woman's family want the woman to go to that side?
At the end of the day, it's hard. It's what she wants. It's not what the mother wants or what the auntie wants. It's what she wants.
What if she wants to do that?
Well, look, let me just...
But as a father, you also have the right to experience
that stress.
Yeah.
It's very stressing. That first time. Actually, for me, for my first time, it was very stressing. Fortunately for me, both my child's grandparents are in Dar es Salaam, so it was easy to see the child almost every day. Yeah, but I assume you're talking about whereby you don't stay in the same cities.
Mm.
I don't know what to say about that. I don't think I would be able. I don't know. It has to happen. It never happened to me. It's the first time I'm getting this question. But for me, it was easy because these people are around. Every time I leave work, for the first kid, the mother came. The mother would come through, or the sisters. But for the second child, she went to stay there, and then I would always pass by after work. So for me, it wasn't a big problem. But I don't know.
So
I think that's. I don't have that.
Nights for the
I
second
had
child.
the sleepless nights for the first one.
For the second one, you missed.
For the second one, I missed that. Yeah, but I already experienced it, so I know how it feels like. So I don't know how to answer your question. I'd say.
Did you feel like you loved the first one more?
The first one is a girl, so by all means. The first one is a girl, so by all means, I'm inclined to love her. That's what they'll say. Yeah, and then this one is still so young. I don't even know if you don't know the character of this one. Once let me tell you one thing. Now you know love, yeah. But when you hold your child for the first time, you get to the next stage of knowing love. I don't know if you understand, because this is you again. I don't know if you understand. It's the most beautiful feeling.
Still don't understand. I will.
Yeah, you should understand. No, I hope when you feel it, you will remember my words.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's even this is a helpless little being. Yeah, maybe because the second one I already had the experience, and when you're a third, fourth-time parent, there's a way the other kids wanna get away with so much. The first kid akanyagi nje, you so much care, and the second kid anapitia through all that because there's limits. I know that limit. Yeah, so I don't feel like I love the second one, the first one more, but the fact that she's a girl and she's one of my best friends, for now at least, I'd say I love her more. I love all my kids equally.
Yeah. So just to follow up. So what's your view? I don't know. Have you ever heard of this notion? I think it's usually discussed in so many places where they just say, if she wants to go to her parents' house, just let her go. Okay, you said you didn't experience that, but is that something you did, right?
You have to understand the reason of her going to the parents' place. Why is she going to her parents' place? Is it because of you? Is it because there's no peace in the house? If there's no peace in the house, it's a different case. But if she's going to say hi to her parents for a day or two, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. Yeah. So just going back to what you said about with the second child comes experience and everything. So do you think that is what leads to, there's always this saying that the middle child is always like the forgotten child?
I don't think
so. Do you think it starts from birth when you already feel like, this is the second time?
Well, it's actually very true.
Do you think it starts here?
Yeah, I don't think it starts there, but I think it's true. But you see, there's two things. There's knowing that the second child sometimes is ignored, so you put more effort in making sure that sometimes actually the first child also gets ignored a lot. When the new child comes, the first child feels less love. The first child feels like there's no care even he's on the little one. So sometimes other parents don't know this. They don't know that the first child is going through a lot of depression. Actually, not depression. I don't think kids. I don't know. Do kids go through depression?
Yes.
Yeah. So the first child, to the point that sometimes she would want to punch the baby. Yeah. So most parents would think kwamba ni mtoto, kwamba ni mtukutu, ama mtoto ni hana tabia. But this is a child that is not yet in control of her emotions or his emotions. So once you know that there's that state, same applies to the little child. Once you know that there's that stage, you learn how to ration. You learn how to, when the mother is taking too much care on the baby, you put all your attention on the old one. When the mother is so much on the old one, you learn how to make sure you balance it. The fact that you know. Yeah.
So you talked about taking care of the mental health of the mother or the expected or the mother who's expecting.
My question will be on the context of how we live and work right now. How do you advise young people like us, right? Relatively speaking, right? Yeah, exactly. On how we can manage that when you're taking the context that we're in early stages of our career. There's that. Number two is in Yakizushi, paternal holidays. Or paternal leave. Do you think it's enough?
I don't think people take it seriously.
You know, yani for a father to take time, actually, when the mother is giving birth, to actually be there for your wife, it's very important. I think I mentioned that in the past, in one of the early stages. I would advise that. Since a boss that doesn't understand that is not a good boss. I'm not answering your question. Oh, you mean okay? Okay, for that I don't know. For that I don't know. I'm not employed. I'm very flexible with my time, so I could be there even if I could not go to work low and then cover tomorrow. But I would assume that everything should go as normal as possible because your wife is coming. But once you have a chance to be home early, then you should be there. You should be there. You know. So I don't know. If I was employed, I'd probably answer your question from a better perspective. But I think if I was missing my child, I would make sure I'm always there when I have a chance. Toka kazini mapema.
Perhaps I can contribute something with respect to. I think paternal leave is 3 or 4 days. Not sure, but it's in the law, which is. I know of the organization is now pushing to extend paternal leave, to extend parental leave in general, including paternal. Yeah, both maternal and paternal. So hopefully it will get passed. So maybe this year, next year, we'll never know. 4 days to a reasonable time, but the target is at least minimum should be not less than 7 days. At least should be something. But this is just my general thought. It goes back to the topic we had the other day about negotiating. So you know you're going to be a father. You have 9 months to prepare. Start negotiating with your employer about your arrangement of how you'll also work. You can ask. I mean, now after COVID, we all know about working remotely, working from home. You can negotiate at least to work from home or work half day physically, then work from home for the rest of the day. Or some days work physically, some days work from home. You could try to see what can work so that you can also be present at home. So that's my input. Taking advantage of the circumstances we're in right now that give us flexibility to work remotely. If you don't speak up, nobody will speak up.
Yeah. Just to add on that, from my experience of the people that I work with, one of my books, well, of course, I mean, we have the bigger paycheck and can manage the second paycheck. But I think he had planned for that earlier, such that when the 9th month came in, he just took the time off and he was able to stay there for his wife and the baby throughout those first 4 months. I know one other colleague who took a whole month off. I mean, remember, during that time, you're living on a single income, right? For that entire household, the husband. And so I think a month may not be a long time, but at least it's enough for someone to be there. So maybe I think people can plan ahead, especially fathers, planning ahead at least to be there during that first month or first 2 months. I know the role fathers can play during that time. I don't know how how significant it can be. Yeah, but again, remember the mother is going through a lot.
Yeah.
Right? The mother is going through a lot. Some things on a personal level on her body that she needs to take care of. And maybe the only person who can help her with that is her mother or another elder woman who has gone through that same process. And so then there's also the child. Maybe so in 100%, maybe the husband could be playing 30, 40, and most of that could be with the baby. Okay, I'm not trying to downplay the role of the father.
The father and mother, the one that are a caring father.
Yeah. 100%.
Losing sleep, both of you.
Yeah.
If it's, even if you don't know how to do whatever it is that's changing the baby diapers or whatever it is, you don't know how to do it. At least be the one that will go for the diapers, will go for water, you'll be the one that will carry while she does this. Your role is really significant.
Definitely. Yeah.
Also, another thing is she's experiencing changes in her body. As much as the women will tell her about how to deal with it, you still need to assure her that still look nice. There are all these things. I'm sure they start telling you, I look like at that stage, she'll be telling you, I look very fat, I don't look nice. Or there are all these things that Walt has also talked about, which only you will be able to tell. The other women will tell, but you are the partner. You're the one that can tell her, you still look nice. I still love you. Eh? Look at the baby. Those things are the ones that are really important and that will make her even more healthy to continue taking care of the baby. Anyway.
Yeah, that's right. That's very good. We're aligned. Definitely in the same line of thought, right?
Yeah.
But the point I was trying to make is that as fathers to be.
Why did you look at me?
Fathers to be brothers or I don't know, boyfriends and whoever we could be. I think, uncles also, even spouses, like being there, planning ahead. And then coming on to your point, David, when you mentioned like why would sometimes mothers choose to, like go back to either their parents' homes or their husband or the father's houses or homes for the very first few months. I don't know. I think, and I'm not trying to rationalize this. I'm just trying to brainstorm ideas onto why they would think of doing that. There could be many reasons, right? If it's the first pregnancy, definitely most of them would be safe around their own mothers.
That's what I was saying. That's already.
It's the first thought that comes in them.
That's already the expectation because it's pregnant. Just let her go. That's bad. Can you also talk about that first time father?
The first time father.
Yeah, it's going to be out of it. That's the question. What about this first time father? Which way? Should I also move?
Well, now that comes on to what that father thinks, right? Because we can't really speak for every father. So assuming I am that father, I would definitely think of an economical way of making this happen while also I'm getting the chance to always be with my child anytime I want to see them. So if that means bringing my wife's parent into my house for them to be able to give that service while I'm also around there, then that's okay. If it's Walter's case where you're both in the same city, she can, live with her parents and I can get to see the child 2-3 times every day in that 1 month when she's living there, then that's also fine. Again, it depends on what that father thinks about it, right?
The mother knows more than you. Her mother has had maybe 4 kids. She has a lot more experience than you, than your wife. So allowing her to go, I think at this point, you need to be understanding what your wife needs and what you can provide. And then, with that, is very selfish because you assume your wife's parents don't have anything to do but come and stay with your wife. This is your child, you and your wife. Yes, sometimes being supportive is letting her go to a place where she can get the help she needs. If you can provide the help she needs and she still insists on going, then that's a problem between you and her. But if you can't, it is your child, but can you be the father and the husband that the wife and the child need?
I guess mimi am biased sana kwa sababu I love babies and I want 24/7 babies. Miezi tisa. Yeah, please.
How like I experienced it from where I come from. The mother-in-law feeling I'm married and feeling.
It's
Sorry, let me introduce myself. My name is Maria Kavimi. I'm the immediate president of Ruby. So now I'm saying, assuming I'm married to you and we happen to get a my mother-in-law, now your mom moved with us for a couple of days, maybe a month, to come and help me. Now my mother-in-law now to come and help me take care of the kid because maybe it's my first time. How maybe to pay the kid and stuff. Sometimes you see lactating mother, they are made for porridge. There's that porridge that will help them to be able to like have a lot of basically to come and do that. So it's the mother-in-law who not my mother, the mother because now I'm married to I've moved to the mother-in-law is one that moved to my son's house. Until now I'm stable or I have some people that can
And you'll be okay with that. That's okay.
yeah, that's okay. That's why I'm married. I'm a big girl. I don't know. I think
it was an assumption.
But I think in Tanzania, women also trying, sometimes they have that urge to go to their parents. That's why I asked that. It's a cultural thing, but because then, I don't know. Yeah, the different tribes, like what she said, the mother-in-law is the one who can. But then your mother-in-law comes to what? Then probably going to do that. With the age that we're in, that there's a high chance of our parents are still what? Yeah. Since there's a money, our parents would be bam. They have that like thing. Now you have your mother with back. Doesn't work.
People can figure things out. Whenever you have your mom logo,
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Of course, yeah. You do it that way, it makes sense. Like use of the extended family. Yeah. And the only case. It's more people that are 100% family so that you sure that it's the development. So conclusion is you stay home with your child. Yeah, so, yeah, that's all. Any more questions? And then you I'm a very experienced uncle.
wow.
Yeah.
Anajitetea mapema.
Assuming you don't get that leave, I would say trust me. In the 2 weeks into that whole procedure that you prepare, and you've seen, and you're talking to your boss and you're sleeping, and
Yeah.
you get. So when you're after two number to get ease out of that, you get. So unless you experience it, you will know, because there's some people on board and see I want that ease, and some people could plow through it, and there's some people who could actually get the leave. It's more of a personal decision to make. lakini it's a decision that has to come from the mutual understanding of the both of them. So yeah, which is part of being there for her.
There's hope. If there's ladies like Maria, there are many who are in line.
When the Kenya.
I also think all
Kenya
this
is my
comes
second
down
hope.
to understanding your wife. Walter touched that. Kwamba, if you understand your wife during all these 9 months pregnant, you must have discussed that
Yeah.
on whether you take leave and be helping her, or your mother would come, or she'd go to her mother's, or her mother would come, or even your sisters. For instance, in my family, me and my sister were the ones helping our sister at her house, nursing the baby and stuff. So it's not always that the mother or the elder people. It's just being open to learning and accepting the new experience.
So we discussed even inception. Even before inception,
You have an agreement.
we agree.
Oh, mwanasheria huyu. Yeah, before.
You had something.
Jesus. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Guys, I think maswali yameisha eh? Bado moja la Eric. Okay, so Edgar. Okay, basi kama kuna mtu yoyote ana swali kwa Walter, naomba alitype kwenye chat section and then Walter atali address. Tunaendelea maswali mawili matatu and then we'll get back to you guys. What? Okay, au basi kama kuna mtu yoyote ana chochote anaweza aka-unmute na kusema. Karibuni. It's not even that sensitive. And I hope this is my last question for today. So, what you mentioned, kwamba the role of men in maternal health starts even earlier, kwenye inception stage or during that whole stage, making the decision. Now, sometimes as young people don't usually decide like when they want to have children, right? You find that it's a result of like a fun night or something, and then someone is pregnant. In developed countries, people usually say that we are pregnant, like the man and the woman. So it's a joint thing. However, it's usually interpreted differently across different countries, different contexts. So who has the veto power between the man and the woman in deciding whether to keep the child, to to abort?
Yes. You have a very
kama mwanamke anakuwa ndo mwenye pressure sana, yeye ndo atadecide. Mwisho siku atakwambia kwamba mimi sikutaka, nimeamua kutoa. Umeona? Na kama mwanaume ndo mwenye pressure, yeye ndo atakuwa anampush mwanamke kwamba utoe. Lakini mwisho wa siku unakutaka kwamba ndo mwanamke anaenda kutoa, na kama kuna madhara ni mwanamke. Lakini mwisho wa siku ni pressure nice. Waga nani mwenye pressure sana?
Abortion is illegal.
Inategemea na nchi.
Tanzania.
Na Tanzania.
Okay. We have a hand from Catherine. Catherine, go ahead.
Hi, thank you, President, and thank you to the presenter. I want to say first, asante sana Walter kwa kushare this personal information kwa sababu kweli we really don't know what we don't know, na sisi ambao bado tuko kwenye hii engo ya ushangazi. We don't want to comment because basically they say pregnancy will humble you and parenthood, nothing can prepare you for that. So coming from you, tunashukuru sana. Lakini nikishare too few experiences, and this is coming from people who have experienced, they always say pregnancy is your accident. You have 9 months to prepare. So usually, as someone said, yes, inaweza ikaingia unplanned, but then you're given a whole 9 months to figure out how is this person going to live after. And so I think it's only fair to be ready despite how the child was made. Lakini that child, kama the decision was made to kuendeleza uhai wake, then we have to prepare for a better future for them. And another comment is, I am very happy that this discussion is led by men, kwa sababu ninasikia vitu vingi sana ambavyo kama this discussion would have been ilikuwa ya wanawake, ungekuwa na a lot of sidelines. And so I figure out kwamba this discussion should be taken up by men. So we really don't know what we don't know. And I think, Walter, this should be the first. And Mr. President, please, kwenye these issues agenda, let's change the narrative and now start hearing from men. Nimeenjoy sana leo. Asante sana.
Asante Catherine. Thank you. Okay.
What do you think of the idea? What do you think of the idea of I flipped my mind. The idea of a man going to the delivery room. Did you go? And what do you think of that idea?
I didn't go, and I don't think I would have gone.
Huh? Yeah, of the man going to the delivery room.
There's people actually do, yeah? But I don't know. Kwangu mimi, I think my wife alikuwa, she asked me like almost teasing, like, are you gonna be in there? I'm not sure. I don't think it was that of a problem for me either being there or not being there. But the fact that kwamba tulikuwa wote pale, tulikuwa admitted pale, that was more than enough, I think, because I was there through the whole process. Just your process of kule tani square.
Why wouldn't you go?
I don't feel like I would have been comfortable. Yeah? It's just simple.
You have said you don't even think you go in the future. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
It's a personal thing. Maybe I don't feel like I want to look at blood and all that stuff. It's just me. You see, okay, yeah. Would you?
I would. I say every step of the way.
Samani, maybe the question ambayo imekuwa asked hapa, Musa yupo online. Musa, kama umesikia swali, labda ungetusaidia. Musa ni mkunga, kwa hiyo anaweza, Musa is a nurse midwife. Maybe perhaps he has a more appropriate answer on this matter. Musa, if you have heard the question raised by David, please, may you lead us. Please, sir. Musa just sent a laughing emoji.
You know, that father's face in that room. Musa.
Okay, so kwa bahati nzuri nimewahi kuzalisha hello.
Yes.
Kwa bahati nzuri nimewahi kuzalisha wanawake ambao wanaingia na wanaume wao, na uzuri nimewahi kuwa mwanaume ambaye ni daktari, lakini pia mwanaume ambaye si mtu wa afya. So wote wawili wanaingiliwa na emotions na vitu kama hivyo, wakiwa wanaona wake zao wakijifungua au vitu kama hivyo. Kwa hiyo sio dhambi wala sio illegal hapa Tanzania, lakini kuna ule kupanic kwa mwanaume na kutokuelewa kitu gani kinafanyika, kitu gani, especially kwa wapenzi ambao ni mara ya kwanza kupata mtoto. Inawachanganya sana, na watu wanajawa na emotions na jazba, na wanakuwa wanaingilia maamuzi ambayo yanatakiwa yafanyike na watu wa afya. Kwa mara nyingi inashauriwa wakati kitu kama hicho kinaendelea, basi mwanaume especially ambaye anaangalia, anaona, inakuwa inamuogopesha. Kwa hiyo tunashauri awe kama ni jasiri basi wewe, kama anapenda kweli kuona na kuvumilia na vyote hivyo, ni kitu kizuri kuwa na mwenzi wako wakati wa tendo na wakati kupokea kitu duniani, unajua. Yes.
Maybe I can ask that to the ladies. Would you want your husband to be in there with you?
Yeah.
Okay. It makes sense. Yeah, it's a near-death experience, by the way.
Near-death experience. If I die, I would like to see my mom's death. At least the last person I see, but even if it's not, at least it's encouraging.
Yes, I understand.
That is there. I am crying, I'm going through pain. They say it is very painful, like super painful, but then if he is there, at least it's encouraging that I'm not in this alone. It's emotional part.
But for me, I'd say I would have. I think for me it was. I made her feel like it's so okay. It's gonna be okay. I was almost so sure it's gonna be okay. But even for her, sometimes she was sleeping from the idea that it can actually not be okay. So if you prepare her, or obviously anyone would want someone next to them. I believe, but maybe hata ningekuwepo pale ndo ningeharibu vitu kama ulivyosikia. You get. But yeah. Amumiza. Yeah, you have to be a woman to make that decision. It's very important, but I couldn't.
One of the people I know, so ukiingia hicho chumba ambacho anajifungia it's like a whole flow. Yes, trying to deliver na nini, na kuna manesi ambao wanawapiga wanawatukana, so as a man coming in, wewe sio daktari au muuguzi, getting in there and seeing all these naked women. Are you talking about a delivery orgy? Hiyo government sasa si ndo mpaka we private una it's either you can afford that kama au labda bima yako inaruhusu, au let's say saa zingine let's say umepata bahati umeenda service ambazo ni upgraded kidogo, lakini as a man if you're seeing how the nurses they treat these pregnant women, unaweza ukaanza kupigana na nesi instead of looking out for your wife there. Wanawake manesi wanatukana, wanawapiga sijui nini, sometimes weird things may happen. A woman may shit on herself up. Nesi anaanza and then so many things happen. No matter sometimes wanasema maybe opt out, or if the services ni nzuri kama za hospitali, hospitali sio wapi kule ambapo the nurses are professional, vyumba ni quite accommodating. As a man, if you're able to get in, just get in. It's a romantic thing. Being there during that period, like really kind of style. Yeah, that just the fact you being there as the husband. So calming. But hata manesi wakiona wewe uko naye hawawi so harsh kwa wanaishi yuko mtu ambaye anataka protect. And there's a way they don't speak, but you see the same nothing. Kisha wewe nyinyi vizuri kuongesha mambo mengine ambayo yuko na the husband. It's different. So just being there, I feel like it's more than enough. It's not more than enough, but it's very important. That's it. Yeah. Any more questions?
Catherine alituma message hapo, alisema kwamba there are some things that you cannot unsee.
Yeah.
Sometimes we talk about preparing the mother psychologically and we leave out the father. Because if you keep saying, I would like to be there every step of the way, do you even know those steps of the way? Are you sure you're ready? You know, faint in there. We've heard of stories of men fainting. Now, I was psychologically prepared. Imagine I go in psychologically prepared that my husband is going to be there and he faints. And then I have to know what is wrong with him. Yeah, you need to prepare yourself, not only financially but also psychologically.
You have to prepare yourself that in case you faint, I'll keep coming, focus on the baby.
Now imagine if we didn't prepare. I'm just saying, like, we need to prepare about everything, not only the money.
But, you know,
Yes. Yeah.
but you know, when you get in there as a man, it's like these other nice nurse midwives like Musa, they are men, and you see them touching your wife, putting their hands on, everywhere. Yeah, like they have to measure it. They have to, it's not just they have to they have to measure.
Na hapo ndo namwombea daktari akijua it. Relax.
Yeah, Musa can explain the procedure.
It starts when you arrive, actually.
Sometimes they insert the whole hand like this, and you're watching your wife, the man doing that to your wife. A guy with a beard like this.
This is the level.
Is your father still alive? So nitaka nijue how alikusupport part of the talk of
It fades, Najua. Not the first, it was not the first grandchild. It fades, for the child. For first-time grandparents, they're pestering. They're always there. And then once you have 10, 15 grandchildren, it's just another. Of course, they're still special. You want to see the new kid. But it wasn't that intense for me. But he was happy at least.
advice. So which one hatuna experience making alipitia?
No, advice bado unapata even if you're the last person to get a grandchild for him, you get the advice. And it's automatic. Lakini kuna ile extra involvement. It fades, I think. It fades. It's the same thing, middle child plus grandchild. Yeah. And then depends. Yeah, if the parents are retired, they have less time, and then they also put more attention to the kids because it's company for them. But then when you get the first child, it's a different feeling. So it's really up to your parents.
Go to the paka retire.
That's a loss for you. I think if I don't know, how do I put this? I'm trying to see how to put it in a way that will not make you think sana. Not because I don't want it to be a burden. But if I would, I'd probably get a child early as possible. If I could. Huh?
Why?
How old? Let me say. For me, Saizi, I want to live a life whereby I can guarantee financial freedom for my grandchildren. So, if you're from a whole family, ukiondoa ile reputation and all that, when you get a child, and then you're almost certain that atapata labda education and all that stuff, it won't be a problem. You should get that as early as you can, because you don't know the joy of handing your child to your grandmother. Sisi I'm being higher. For us guys, before my father holds my son, he has to give me some money. It's just culture. Money or something, wine, he has to pay for it. Yeah. But before my grandmother or my grandfather holds my son or my child, I have to pay my grandfather. Because this is one of the greatest blessings. I don't know how to put it. So if you get to experience that day, it sounds so normal until you get to the house and then you're about to hand over the child to your grandfather and they say, no. There's traditions. It feels so good. And then you start to realize that this person is seeing 2-3 generations down the line. So most of us, we end up getting kids when we're too old, and then you probably don't get to see your great-grandchildren. There's a chance that most of us will see them. So if you can get them early, let me tell you one thing. For me, I feel like, I don't know, I hope I don't change my perception in the future. Maybe because my daughter is still so young. If my daughter came to me and told me she's pregnant and she has a child, that time, because I hope I would be as supportive as possible. Kwa sababu, I would want to see generations more. I would want to pass all the knowledge that I know. You know, there's knowledge you can get from your father, and then there's knowledge that you can get from your grandfather or your grandfather. Those are two different things, very different things. When you sit with your grandparents, yeah, and then you're having a conversation with them, don't waste time teasing them. Don't waste time talking to them. Mambo ambo hayana make sense. Ask them questions. Ask them questions, because this is a head start. There's people who don't have fathers, you know, and then there's people who don't have grandparents. This is a head start. A head start in the sense that just what you're thinking today, your mentality ya leo na last week is two different things. You might not notice this small change, but it's two different things. Now imagine that mentality across 70 years. What your grandfather used to see, what your grandfather used to know, what your grandfather has come to understand from his perspective. That is gold. So if you can get a chance to grant your children that opportunity to speak or learn or hear from their grandfathers or great-grandfathers, don't waste it. Yeah. Sorry, I went emotional.
Thank you. So we are way past our scheduled time, but I think that's solely because of the interesting nature of today's topic. Yeah. So, is there any last question, like, or any other addition would like to put across the table to bring across the attention of Mr. Walter before we proceed? Okay, you're satisfied, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so asante sana Walter kwa such a wonderful presentation. Asante sana, tumejifunza mengi, na kama nilivyokuambia mara ya kwanza, we are all fatherless, fatherless.
Bully ourselves.
We are all childless. I don't know, but I speaking for my club, we are all childless. And I don't know, kama someone is expecting, because I'm suspecting David. David might be expecting. Japo mweza maswali. Oh, the advocate David. Oh, David with the low cut. Yeah, so nadhani nimefurahi sana. It was such in a short notice actually, and it's a topic that compelled you to I don't know, but reveal some personal matters, but you didn't mind. Hata nilivyokucheki kwenye simu kaniuliza tu kwamba itakuwaje, what exactly do you want me to say about, nikakwambia tu in brief, lakini umejitahidi to guide. Actually, it's more for guidance. It's more than a presentation, because a presentation is just something that you take, and more for some, like something you learn for a thing or two. But this is more for a guidance that hatujui tutapata ulini watoto wengine might be 10 years from now, but we will look back to this day na tutakumbuka kwamba Walter said this, kwamba inatakiwa kwamba kuna kudecide, kuna hiki. Yeah. So asante sana. Thank you everyone who has showed up. Thank you for all those for all the guys who joined us online. So we have guests. I think it's the perfect time for presentations, right? Introduction.
Usually it's a vote of thanks. I want to thank the president. When he called me on this assignment, I had traveled and I was very busy. But I want to tell you guys, you have a brilliant president. He was very, very keen. From there, just call me in 2 hours. He would actually call me in a couple of minutes. He'd actually call me and follow up and guide me through the whole process. So I'd like to give a hand of applause for the president. He did a really good job. And I feel like if he did push hard enough, because I've actually skipped a lot of this. If he didn't push me, then you're almost going to miss me. So you convinced me to actually want to do it. So that's a good. So you have to make sure this one goes.
No one is.
No, but you did a good job on following up. Yeah.
Asante sana. Yeah. So, Madam President, so should we start with you? Okay. Yeah.
Good evening once again. My name is Gladness Roberts, and I am the current president for the Rotaract Club of Bukoba. I am a lawyer by profession. Yes. And currently I am doing my master's in ICT law, so still a student. And I am glad I showed up today. I had a great time. It was very insightful. I've learned a lot of things. It was nice to hear the men's perspective on this matter. So thank you very much for hosting this. Thank you.
Mimi nitamwisha. Okay. Nilikuwa niko busy sana hapa. Naitwa Kelisa. Yeah.
Hii mambo kuna protokali kuzingatiwa sina.
Okay, my name is David Yandwa. I am an advocate. That's my profession. But also I'm an academician. Currently teaching at Mzumbe University. And let me clear that. I was invited by Kelisa. So actually, I'm glad to be here. As I've noticed, I was very quiet. I don't mistake that for not being engaged. I've learned a lot. Thank you so much, and hopefully I may